Hello, roommate. You made a mistake. Staying home tonight was the wrong choice.
This happened when I was 23, right after graduating from a state school in western Missouri. Four of us signed a lease together that summer. We weren't close friends, more like familiar faces from classes and campus events. But we all finished the same semester and needed somewhere cheap to land. It made financial sense, and that was enough. We found a small rental house on the edge of Springfield, past the grocery stores and gas stations, where streetlights got sparse and the roads narrowed. The rent was manageable only because it was split 4 ways. The place wasn't impressive. Low ceilings, thin walls, a gravel driveway that announced every arrival, but it worked. For about 9 months, everything was normal. Then, almost back to back, 2 of the guys decided to move out. One transferred for work, the other moved in with his girlfriend. Within weeks, it was just me and Derek. Derek happened to be the one I barely talked to. He kept to himself from the beginning, worked mornings at a shipping warehouse, came home late most nights, and rarely joined us in the living room when the rest of us were around. Out of the 3, he was the one I knew the least, so naturally, he was the one left standing. With only 2 of us paying rent, the numbers didn't look good. We sat at the kitchen counter one night and agreed we'd ride out the last 3 months of the lease, then go our separate ways. After the others left, the house felt different, too quiet. On my days off, I'd spend entire afternoons alone, making food, watching TV, scrolling on my phone, without hearing another person move through the house. Derek was almost never there. Considering he only worked part-time in the mornings, it seems strange how he managed to be gone nearly every evening. I assumed he had friends, maybe someone he was seeing. It wasn't really my business. One night, though, I stayed up later than usual. It was close to 1 a.m. when headlights flashed across my bedroom wall through the blinds. A car rolled slowly down the gravel driveway. I heard the engine cut, then the front door opened. For some reason, I decided to step out and say something, just to keep things from getting awkward between us. I opened my bedroom door right as I heard fast footsteps moving down the hallway. Not normal walking. Quick, almost urgent. When I leaned out, Derek jerked slightly, like he hadn't expected anyone to be awake. The hallway lights were off, so his face was mostly shadow, but I could see his eyes clearly enough, wide, fixed on me. He was standing just outside his bedroom door, hands still on the knob. "Hey," I said quietly. "Everything good?" He stared at me for a moment too long before answering. "Yeah, I'm good." His voice didn't match the way he looked. We stood there in the dark for a few seconds. I nodded and stepped back into my room. The interaction didn't make anything less awkward. If anything, it made it worse. Why rush to his room like that? Why look startled? I told myself to drop it. But a couple minutes later, I opened my door again, slower this time, and walked down the hallway. I didn't plan on knocking. I just wanted to pass by and listen for a second. From inside his room, I heard movement. Rapid, uneven. Drawers sliding open and shut. Something being shifted around. It sounded frantic, not like someone getting ready for bed, but like someone searching for something in a hurry. I stopped near his door, trying to make sense of it. Then it abruptly went silent. Not gradually, just nothing. The sudden quiet made my chest tighten. I stood there a second longer than I should have, debating whether to turn around. Before I could step away, the door swung open. Derek was standing right there, same wide eyes, already looking directly at me. Trying to cover myself, I said I was just heading to the kitchen. "Want anything?" I asked. Derek muttered no and closed the door behind him. The click of the latch lingered in the quiet house, and for some reason, it made everything feel heavier, stranger. I went to the kitchen anyway, opened the fridge, poured some water I didn't really want, then returned to my room. The rest of that night passed without a sound. until I started noticing a pattern in the days that followed. For the next 5 or 6 days, I became more aware of him than ever before. I stayed awake until I heard his car pull in, uncomfortable sleeping until I knew he was safely in his room, doing whatever it was he did. His behavior didn't change. Restless eyes, stiff movements, almost zombie-like, speaking no more than a few words, and always hurrying straight to his room. Then, one night, after I'd finally settled into bed, there was a knock at my door. I froze. I hadn't heard him walk down the hallway. My heart jumped. I got up and opened the door. Derek stood there, same wide, restless eyes, but this time a faint, uneasy smile on his face. "I just got home," he said. "I think I dropped my wallet somewhere on the driveway. Got a flashlight? Can you help me look for it real quick?" It was strange. He had never asked me for help with anything before. Ever. Despite how odd it was and how tired I felt, I grabbed a flashlight, thinking maybe this was a chance to smooth things over, to make things less awkward between us. We walked down the gravel driveway, the flashlight beam cutting across the uneven stones. He tried small talk, work, mundane questions, but his voice didn't feel casual. My eyes were drawn immediately to his car. It wasn't parked near the house like normal. It was all the way at the far end of the driveway, near the edge of the woods. If he had dropped his wallet, it should have been somewhere along the way. We reached the car. Nothing. Then he started moving farther, past the end of the driveway, toward the woods. I stopped. "We should go back," I said. He paused, considering something, then told me he'd gone for a short walk earlier and might have dropped it in the trees. I didn't believe him. Each step deeper into the woods made my chest tighten. He kept trying to persuade me to continue, urging me farther from the house, farther from safety. The flashlight felt heavy in my hand. Finally, I held it toward him. "You can take the light. I've got to head back, early for work." He didn't take it. His faint smile vanished. The restless look in his eyes hardened into something darker. Anger, maybe disappointment, or both. He didn't say a word. The tension was suffocating. I didn't wait any longer. I turned and walked quickly back toward the house. Gravel crunched under my feet, and I glanced over my shoulder. He was still standing at the edge of the trees, watching me. Not moving, just watching. Once inside, I started packing the essentials: clothes, documents, my laptop. I stayed awake the rest of the night, listening for him, but Derek never returned. By morning, I loaded my car and left. I never heard from him again. Even now, years later, I don't know what he was planning that night, but it wasn't about a lost wallet.
Subscribe and I'll tell you another story the next time you're alone in the dark.